my record this year was 72 kilometers. 74. I don't know, it's on the website. 74 kilometers in a day.
That's pretty impressive.
But this just never happened, you know. You know, when you get that, you're doing feet like that and you're hearing nothing by yourself to say, you know, that was a good job. But I want to share this with everyone. So.
I'm really interested in the moment you realized you weren't walking across Canada anymore. Was there a sense of relief in that at all? Was there a feeling of personal failure? What were your emotions like when you were kind of getting ready to go on the bus, the Greyhound bus, to head back to Calgary?
It can't be a personal failure because I've achieved more than I could ever expect. You know, and that's the way it was. I set out, you know, if I could get through 2 days alone, that'd be great. You know, if I could get through a week alone, that'd be awesome. You know, I think I was pretty happy when I met you for the first time. It was about 200 and some kilometers. I looked on the website there just this year and I said, oh my Lord. And that was as great as, I think, crossing the 10,000 kilometer mark. Because I was doing it. Doing something that I think most felt I shouldn't be doing. But there I was. But I'll tell you, and it surprised me myself. I both saw at this motel that I was staying at, which is a halfway hotel. They call that because it's halfway between Wawa and White River. And I was surprised. It was a relief. That's the way I felt. It was a relief. I put myself through extreme pain. I mean, every day, it's not easy walking. I mean, I think people think it's easy. But you're doing the kilometers that I'm doing and pushing the weight. I mean, for me, if somebody was there at the end of the day to give me a good full meal, but that was no guarantee. A lot of time I'm just eating my rations, you know, tuna, dried fruit, which just can't really get that optimum nutritional value out of food.
No, that's true. There's no doubt you were worn down by the trip. I mean, the bouts of sickness and...
They're down pretty quickly, but as soon as you get a good meal into you, man, that lasts you for days. Days on end. I mean, to go across Newfoundland and do what I did, and the greatest part of that is I was getting good meals. You know, some of them were provided by the folks there. So I had one family pick me up from the spot I left off at that day, took me back for the night, gave me a good night's sleep, fruit steak, fruit, vegetables, potatoes. The next day dropped me off where I left off, and I pushed that right on to Deer Lake. I was from South River to Deer Lake, just about, not quite, halfway to between. And then the next day to Corner Brook with great strength, uphill against the wind.
Wow.
I mean, that kind of support really helped, and I did get it. It was awesome. But sometimes sleep, and it was getting more and more rare. If nobody's seeing me do that at night, I am on my own, and I don't have the fuel to do it.
Yeah.
And it would have broke down. You know, your body does a certain amount of maintenance when you get the right food. It can do it if it's got the right food. It can do amazing things.
There's certainly a physical toll that was taken, but there must have been an emotional toll, and certainly maybe even a spiritual toll in some way when you realize that you're sitting on the Greyhound bus, you're going back to Calgary, you're going home, and you don't have to walk on the side of the road anymore and being ignored by most people, and you can kind of go back to a bit of a normal life. I mean, on the one hand, you were trying to do something extraordinary, but on the other hand, you were paying a heavy price, sir.
Well, you know, that was it. I think I explained it to my brother-in-law probably best because he's a banker. And I said to him, you know, when you're making an investment, you're always looking for the return on the investment.
Yes.
But for what I was paying in, I wasn't getting much out of what I wanted, you know, out of it.
Yeah, well, you certainly weren't walking across Canada for exercise. I mean, you can jog for that.
Well, you know, I was out for exercise, but I was out to encourage exercise. You know, and that is emotionally and physically for people. You know, get out of your cubicles now and then. You know, get out and have a good breath of fresh air. You know, I was out to encourage people to drop their packs of cigarettes and pick up running shoes. It's amazing what I did. And that was giving me the drive to go even further. You know, I went through a heck of a lot last year, a heck of a lot of things. The thing that got me out on the road this year is, you know, to show people, hey, look what you can do. And this year even more. And I'll tell you, some of those records that were broken because of not enough media exposure, because I was pissed. Absolutely pissed sometimes. I went to PEI and not a soul knew me. I broke my first daily best this year, 64 kilometers. And that was followed with a 48 kilometers, which was followed by a 50 kilometers, which was followed by a 43, and then a 50 after that. But it was leading to Charlottetown. There wasn't enough attention, and I wasn't getting, nobody's honking horns, stopping, waving, or anything. Coming out of Quebec, 64.4 between Montebello and Gatineau. Again, moreover, I wanted to get into Ottawa, where I hoped I could get the attention. I had a brother that stayed there, and I could rest as well. The attention, it was from one media group. The rest were, and it was one of them was just horrible. I walked, I'll tell you who, like I say, the gloves are off. Walked into the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, as a Canadian. I was just shy of walking 10,000 kilometers. Nobody walks in there like that, ever. And I go in there, and they seem like they're excited that I was there, and they're kind of amazed at what I did. And said, "Ray, you want to come up for a tour?" So I'm thinking, okay, this is a short interview. I go up there, shows me around, this, that, this is where we do this production, that production. I'm like, yeah, that's interesting. I'm just thinking in my head, I just want to get down and get to this interview because I still got a bit of walking to do today because I ain't done.
Right.
And doing all that. And, you know, this is where it goes out over all of Ontario. I'm like, great, you know, this would be awesome. You know, get me on there. This will, you know, go out all over Canada. I'm like, awesome, that's what I need. You know, awesome, let's do this. And at the end of the tour, he goes, well, we won't be able to do anything for you. I'm like, pardon? He says, well, you know, maybe up the road this thing will kick off for you. So I mean, and take off. He says, if it doesn't take off now, you know, what's the point of going up the road? I mean, this is where it has to happen. It has to happen now. Or we can't do it for you. And I'm thinking, this guy just wasted 15, 20 minutes of my time. I did not walk 10,000 kilometers to go for a tour around the place. Like, I don't know who the hell he thought I was, or what I was there for.
It's unbelievable. You go into the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation office. This was in Toronto or? Ottawa, the capital of Canada. And you're telling them about your amazing journey. They give you a tour, you know, like you were a tourist, and then send you on your way and say, sorry, we can't help you out.
It was just like that. And I walked out of there, and on the headline, a paper that did not cover me in Ottawa, it said disgusting. I said, that, finally, it got the headlines right. That's what we need on the headline, disgusting. Except it wasn't a picture or any write-up of me, it was something else. But that was the headline.
Unreal.
And I went on, I said, well, Kingston, they put me on top story when I was in Kingston. And leading in there, I had one radio station that was covering me just fine. And they even got the town crier out in Kingston. I guess he's world-renowned. Mind you, I'm going to get back to Ottawa. One fella ended up having connections with the mayor. Called up the mayor. I was out Sunday walking with
the walk with the mayor. Yeah, it's astounding to me though.
And even with that, I don't know what impression I made with these folks, but all those other networks, even though he called them, did not show up, except for one. And I was I think it was the A channel or city, the Chum Group. And the same thing, the radio station there, they covered me. And that was it. But going into Kingston...
wow, that is just unbelievable.
There was a